How's it going, everybody? Just wanted to make a quick video today to talk about Poshmark. To give you some background, my wife and I both started doing the Dave Ramsey method about 18 months ago, and about 6 months into it, we decided that we were going to try to find another way to make a little extra money on the side to kind of supplement our income. My wife and I both work full-time. She's a high school teacher, and I work for the federal government. So things being the way they are, we decided that it would be nice to make a little extra money. So a friend of mine at work started talking about a site that she used called Poshmark to buy clothes. And I'm a guy, I had no interest in women's fashion and didn't really know anything about it, so I kind of wrote it off. And then I was talking to my wife about it at dinner one night, and she said, "Oh yeah, a friend of mine uses it too." So we started looking into it, just as a way to kind of buy clothing at first to save some money as opposed to buying new clothes at stores. And what we found was that it is also a really good tool to make money. There's a lot of YouTube people that put a lot of production value into their videos. You can see I'm just sitting in my living room, cats walking around. And a lot of people out there talk about how you can make a living off of it, how you can do it full time and make lots of money. I'm not saying that's not necessarily true, but my wife and I don't do it for that reason, and with having full-time jobs, this is just something we do on the sides, on the weekends and at night, to make a little extra money. Throw some numbers at you, and these are actual numbers as of January 13th, 2019. My wife and I have been doing Poshmark now for 1 year and 1 day. In that time, we have made $11,646 in profit, and we've sold 856 items. I have 255 items available for sale in my closet as of right now, and we probably have another 150 items that we haven't posted yet that are just sitting up in our living room. So today what I wanted to kind of go over is the kind of 10 tips and tricks that I've learned over the past year. We made some mistakes early on that kind of cost us a little bit, and just kind of, for people who are maybe wanting to try it out, how you can maximize your money without spending a ton of money, and how you can make money without having to blow the bank on buying lots and lots of stuff. So the first thing is time commitment. A lot of people tell you, oh, it's super easy. You just snap a couple pictures and post things online, and people come buy them. Yes and no. The process for posting an item can take as few as maybe like a minute and a half. But if you do it right, probably takes about 8 to 10 minutes an item. The reason I say that is there's a lot, and I'll get more in depth into certain aspects later on, but the main reason is you have to take pictures, you have to post measurements, you have to measure everything, you have to store the item, and the time adds up per item. So I would say on average, plan on spending about maybe 8-9 minutes an item. And the main thing we do is we have a system. So we have a rack with 20 hangers on it. We hang up 20 items at a time, take pictures of all 20 items, photograph all 20 items, measure all 20 items, and then we just start listing them. This seems to cut down on a lot of the time where you're just trying to do one item at a time, 2 items at a time, but you do have to kind of be methodical about it. The second thing is packaging. Poshmark, one of the things they do is they do pay for standard shipping, unless you offer a discount, which comes out of your profit. And a lot of people are like, well, okay, now I gotta buy tape and boxes and labels and all that sort of stuff. There are certain things you will have to buy, but boxes for sure are one of the things that you can get for free. I'll put a link in the description for the US Postal Service. It's a free service. You log on and you basically pick the size boxes you want, and they ship them to your house. It takes about a week to get the boxes. You can also go into your local post office and get priority mail boxes for free. And then the second part of it is the tape. That does get expensive, but if you get on kind of a good level with your local post office, a lot of times they will give you the priority mail tape. You can get it online, but you can get like 8 feet of it. It comes with the military bundle, and it just, 8 foot of tape really doesn't help, especially when you're selling, 12, 13 packages a week. So you do have to kind of. I have people at my postal service who won't give it to me, and then I have a lady who, if she's in, she will. So that's kind of a way you can save a little bit of money. And then what we did probably about 6 months ago is we went through Vistaprint and got little business cards that have our name of our closet on it and a thank you note, and it really cuts down on the time. You just slip one in the box, and it's a nice little touch. You can get 500 of them for like $8. And sometimes Vistaprint runs specials and things like that. So, we've spent $20 on those for the whole year. So we're, putting those in every box. And then shipping labels is probably the one thing that most people complain about the most, because when you get an order, when somebody buys something, you'll get an email with a shipping label, a prepaid shipping label. Because again, Poshmark will pay for the shipping unless you're offering a discount. And so what happens is you print the label off, and then you have to either cellophane tape it, or you can get the clear bags from the post office for free. So we were doing that for probably about 8 or 9 months. And then what we found was the ink is just really, really expensive, and it doesn't always hold up as well. We had one package returned because it still got wet, even though it was in a protective bag. So one of the things we bought, and I'll put a description to the Amazon link below, is a Dynamo label printer. It's a professional packing label printer. It's a thermal printer, so it doesn't use ink. The only thing you have to pay for is the labels. So the printer itself was probably, I want to say like $120. And then we saw it on Amazon Black Friday for like $75, which was like 2 months after we bought it, so we were kind of bummed. But we use it all the time. You don't have to worry about ink. The labels are not that expensive. You can get a roll of like 300 labels or 100 labels in a 3-pack for like $30. So it comes down to like 3 cents a package, which is really not bad. And then the only thing that we add in our boxes is we go to the dollar store and we just buy pencils, not colored pencil, but just they have seasonal ones. So we'll do, like right now we're doing Valentine's Day ones. We just did a bunch of Christmas ones. We did Halloween before that. So doesn't cost you much. The pencils are, I would say, probably about 10 cents a piece. And we just throw one in each box. And you'd be surprised how much people they'll comment on your shipments and say, wow, thanks for the little pencil, it's really nice. And it doesn't cost you hardly anything. So again, just kind of a really nice touch you can add to your packaging. And then the biggest expense is going to be poly bags, because you're going to want to wrap. You're putting everything in a cardboard box and you're shipping it all over the country. In the last year, we've shipped to all 50 states. And what we noticed is if you don't protect your packaging, people will complain about it if it gets wet, if the FedEx guy or the UPS guy drops it in a puddle. You hear all the horror stories. But poly mailers are basically just clear. They can be clear or they can be decorative bags. My wife picks out the bags. I don't. So we basically will buy 100 at a time, and then when they run out, we either change the printing on them, or we'll go, if she finds one that she particularly likes, we'll just reorder a bunch of them. And I'll put links to those sort of things below. Usually 9 times out of 10, a 10 by 13 poly bag is fine. If you have larger items like really big, fur coats or things like that you're selling, you're going to want to get a bigger poly bag. But the 10 by 13 bags fit everything from like a sports bra up to like a medium-sized jacket if you do it right. And then, so that's pretty much everything involved in packaging. It's probably the second most important thing, because if you don't package an item properly and get a bad review, or somebody, contests an order or files a claim against you, it's gonna take a couple. Poshmark usually takes like 3 or 4 days to decide what to do, and we've had, I want to say, probably 8 or 9 cases filed against us this last year, and we lost all but 2 of them, and 2 of them were just people that were trying to scam the system. So, and the 8 people that did file claims against us, they were right. There were things that we learned along the way. We sold a pair of Hudson jeans, which I'd never heard of before, and they have like a little button on the side of the pocket on the front, and one of the pairs of pants we sold didn't have that button. I didn't know that, and so the person got really mad about it. and filed a claim, and Poshmark sent us back the jeans, and they got their money back. We lost our money, and kind of goes from there. So you want to make sure that your packaging protects the items you have once you sell them. The next item is photographs. This is the most important thing. Not what you're selling, not the size, not any of that sort of stuff. There'll be people out there that'll tell you certain brands to buy, certain brands to not buy, and I'll definitely go over that. But you want to make sure that your photographs are clean, crisp, they look good. My wife, we've tinkered. If you look through my closet, you'll see a lot of things where we've tried different things with different backgrounds. But the thing that most people want is just a clean, white, not very textured sheet. So we bought a sheet, we hung it on the wall, and then we cut a small hole in it and put a command strip through it to hang things off of, and then that's how we take pictures. We did purchase two kind of light umbrellas. They're really cheap. We got them on Amazon, and I'll put the description below for everything that we've purchased for our closet. And I want to say they were like $35-40. But the light flooding the area that you're photographing really, really helps. And it also allows you to take pictures any time of day. There's a lot of people who will tell you, oh, you want to take pictures of this time of day or with this kind of light. If you buy a light source, you don't have to worry about it, so you can do it when it meets your schedule, which really helps, especially if you're doing this on the side and not trying to do this full time. And if you are trying to do it full time, you're definitely going to want a lighting because you can work whatever hours you want. So again, we use our cell phones to take pictures. You can adjust the brightness of the pictures or the clarity of the pictures, but main thing is you want to make sure that you're getting pictures of the whole item. You want to make sure you get pictures of any tags that are in the item. If you're selling something that still has the manufacturer's tags on it, you want to make sure that it includes the tags in the description or in the pictures. And you want to make sure you take pictures of all sides, and especially the number one thing you want to take pictures of is there's any defect with the item. You want to make sure that you take a picture of it because a lot of times people look at stuff and they don't mind spending money if there's a small spot on the back or a tiny tear here or something like that, or a little bit of wear. But you have to disclose it. That's the number one thing they'll tell you when you go through Poshmark is disclose everything that is potentially not manufacturer related to the item. That's another reason that people will basically contest things with you. They'll say, oh, well, this is way more worn than it looks, and then they'll show pictures or they'll send pictures. So you just want to make sure that you disclose anything wrong with the item or anything that's if it's hemmed up, if it looks like it's been altered, you definitely need to make sure and disclose that, because otherwise people can file claims against you and you will lose money. The other thing with the pictures is you make sure, the other thing you want to include in your listing is always include the sizing. Don't wait for people. There's a lot of people that just post pictures and they say, comment for sizing because they don't want to go through the motions of measuring everything. Take the time, measure the item. You'll have way less questions from people because I would say probably for every 7 or 8 questions we get, we make one sale. So you're going to have people asking questions about, what size of this, what size of that. If you just put the listing up with the sizing, you won't have people asking you tons of questions, and you'll be able to just kind of weed out the people who are just kind of looking. Because just like anything, if you shop, you're going to look at the size, you're going to look at the measurements, and since you can't try it on, you're going to want to, compare it to other clothes you have, or look at the sizing and things like that, just to make sure that it's something that's going to fit them, because that's one big thing that's on the seller side with Poshmark. It doesn't fit me is not a reason that they'll accept for you to return an item. Now, if the size is different than what was advertised, you can. But if you buy like a size large T-shirt and you buy it and you just go, oh, it's too tight on me or it doesn't fit, they won't take it back. They'll say, sorry, it's yours. So you want to, a lot of the things in Poshmark are about protecting yourself as a seller and making sure that you're giving the customer as much information as they can have before they make a decision to buy. The next thing is sourcing. So obviously, Poshmark bills itself as empty your closet and sell the clothes you don't want online. Well, that's great, but how many people have 1,000 pieces of clothing in their house that they're going to get rid of? Probably none, unless you have a real problem. But obviously, you're going to have to purchase things in order to sell them. So thrift stores and thrift markets are the best place to buy stuff. My wife and I, we live in rural Western Washington, and we have a few thrift shops in the area. You have Salvation Armies, Goodwills, things like that. So they're really good places to buy products. One of the things we found is our thrift stores on Mondays, everything's tagged colors for different days of the week, and each Monday they offer a tag sale for a specific color. So if one of us isn't working, or if we're going to go after work, we'll go in and buy items that way. So we can get them, we can get an item for $2 and sell it for, $18, $20. You're going to make $12 an item. So you're making $10 each item, which is kind of what we push for. We push for making about $8 to $10 an item. It doesn't seem like much, but it really, really adds up quickly. And so I would suggest anybody getting into it to spend time in your thrift store. And when we first started doing it, I was a little skeptical about it because, I've been to Goodwills and things before looking for, if I gained weight or lost weight, I'd be looking for clothes for myself. And I had a really hard time. They didn't always have the size that I wanted or what I was looking for. The beauty of Poshmark is that you don't care what size it is. You are looking for good quality items at affordable prices that you can put in your inventory. So we do that. So really get familiar with your local thrift store's sales. And then, like in my instance, we have 3 Goodwills that are all within about 5 minutes of my house. So, we pretty much can just hit all 3 of them. Holiday weekends are really good. They'll typically, so like we know that Martin Luther King Day is coming up and they're going to have a big sale. So we'll probably be there, to kind of add some inventory, and find some items. The second thing is if you have like a Goodwill outlet or a thrift store outlet, look into those. We've gone to a couple of them here up in like Tacoma and Olympia in the area in Western Washington, and they're really, really good. You can get a lot of items very, very cheap. Our thrift store that we went to in Tacoma, it was like $1.20 a pound for clothing, and then if you bought over 50 pounds, it dropped down to 80 cents a pound. So we ended up buying like 52 pounds worth of clothes, and literally there's just bins full of stuff. You can read Yelp reviews for all sorts of things, and some of it's true. There are a lot of stuff is uncleaned, it's unwashed, it's unsorted. It literally just comes out of a donation bin, out of a truck, and into a bin. The employees that work there get a lot of flack, but it's just a big open warehouse floor, and they keep rolling in bins of new stuff every once in a while, and you just have to dig. I would recommend wearing gloves. I would recommend wearing a mask if you want to. I didn't have a problem with the smell or any dirt or anything like that, but I definitely would not have felt comfortable if I wasn't wearing gloves. And really, you do have to spend quite a bit of time. The first time we went, we spent 5 hours in the store. We walked away with, I think it was like 120 items in our basket, and we spent like $46. So you can get a lot of stuff. A lot of it's damaged, torn, gross, so you just kind of flip it to the side and keep going. But it's definitely a valuable tool and a good place to look if you're looking to bulk up inventory and add not necessarily filler items, but decent quality stuff. And that's probably the biggest challenge when it comes to selling on Poshmark is if you're thrifting for stuff, you want to find name brand quality items, Lululemon, Patagonia, Dooney and Burke, these really high dollar brands, Coach, this sort of stuff. And I'm a guy, I didn't know anything about women's fashion before I started this about a year ago. But I know what to look for because I shop with my wife now. So you want to make sure that, you're getting good items, but at the same time, it can be difficult to find if you zero in on specific things. It can be very difficult to not get frustrated because you you're not finding what you're looking for. That being said, when we've gone to the outlet, we tend to, my wife and I, when we go to a regular thrift store, we have a standard as far as what brands we're looking for, what brands we're willing to buy, what brands we're willing to spend money on. And overall, I would say the thing we've learned is if you can buy it at the mall, don't try to sell it on Poshmark. Brands like Gap, Forever 21, American Eagle, Express, H&M, things like that, they don't really sell for a high turnover. You might be able to sell like a dress from Forever 21 for like $7. And then Poshmark's going to take $3 out of that. So now you're down to $4. And if you spent $2 on it, you're making $2. So you want to try to buy brands that are higher dollar brands. Lululemon sells very, very well. If you can find Lululemon stuff at your thrift store, buy it. We typically buy Lululemon for about $5 to $7 an item, and we can turn it around and sell it for $35-$40. And then Poshmark will take their 20% out, so you're still making $32, and you spent $5, so now you're making $26 an item. So those are items that make a lot of money for us. And then just keep in mind, you don't want to buy like Gap, Calvin Klein, things like that. You'll see a lot of it on there, but that's because that's what people are putting in their closet. Now, if you are going to an outlet, I would say go ahead and buy it. If it's in good shape, we bought some Express stuff from the outlet and had tags on it still, and it was in great shape. And I paid 45 cents for it, so I don't really care if I'm spending 45 cents an item. But if you're spending $5, $6, $7 per item, you don't want to buy mall brands because you're not going to make any profit at all. And then the main thing with when you're like, what brands should I look for? What brands should I look for? Every day there's 4 parties every day. And in the West Coast, it's 9 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. So the 7 p.m. parties usually just dump your whole closet in, to be honest. It usually has a theme, but it'll be like workwear attire, but there's no rules. You can share anything you want. The other 3 parties during the day are specific. So they might be best in shoes, best in kids, best in men's. And then they have specific themes. So one of the ones is activewear, and it'll tell you what brands you can share into activewear. So you might think, okay, well I can share my Reebok stuff, my Prana stuff, my Adidas stuff. That's not true. You have to look at the description of the party, and it'll tell you what brands they allow. So for the athletic wear one, it'll say like Electric Yoga, Adidas, Stella McCartney Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, and Lululemon. So it'll give you a list of what you can do. There's a trendy party where you can share like J. Crew and Lily Pulitzer and Dooney and Burke and things like that. So the reason the parties are the way they are is because Poshmark looks at what brands are moving and then put those brands into parties. So if it's a party brand, buy it. If it's not, you kind of have to gauge, am I at an outlet? Do I need inventory to fill my closet? That sort of thing. Because how much do you have in your closet really does make a difference. At first, my wife and I, we weren't buying very much. We were just buying maybe like 10 or 12 items. And we were doing research and watching other YouTubers tell us, okay, you need to have X amount of numbers in your closet, X amount of things. And what we found is if we stay at or above 200 items, we tend to see more traffic. And the more traffic you have, the more sales you're going to make. And it's just kind of the easiest part. So definitely buy items that are listed in parties and join the parties and share during the parties. If you have a full-time job like I do, like the noon party is usually like right when I have lunch. So I'll just hop on my phone and do it, 5 minutes on my phone for lunch and go from there. The other thing that you can do is you can offer sales. My wife and I, this weekend, we hit 50,000 followers for our closet, and we decided we were going to do 50% off our whole closet. So we did a sale, and probably within the first hour and a half of sharing the sale banner that we put up, we made probably like 7 or 8 sales. And the way you do that, which we just recently found out, this is a trick you can use, is if you go through your previous sales and copy down the usernames for everybody that's purchased from you before, and if you comment on you can make a banner that says you're having a sale, and in the comment section tag all the people that have bought from you before, they'll get a notification that they've been tagged in a post, and they will see it, and whether or not they decide to read it, it's up to them. But we had so we made 13 sales last night, and all but 2 of them were from people that have purchased from us before. So a really neat trick you can use to get people to come back to your closet to buy stuff, be repeat customers. And again, the way you package your materials, the way if you put like a small token in there, whether it's a pencil or something silly, you can buy from the dollar store. People will come back to you because they liked the way they got it. Ship quickly. There's a lot of people out there that you get 7 days to ship the item, but honestly, if you package it up that night and put it in the mailbox the next day and somebody gets it in 2 days, they're super excited about it. So make sure you ship things quickly and efficiently. The next thing is probably sharing. Poshmark, when you strip away all the retail side of things, it is a social network. So you need to share other people's stuff. You need to share your stuff frequently. You need to go to other people's closets and share similar items. And you also need to follow, when you first start, if you go on the feed button, you can look for what some people say they're Posh ambassadors, or I'm a, top 10% seller or something like that. The term they use now, I believe, is suggested users. So these are people that have reached a certain amount of shares and a certain amount of items in their closet, and you can actually go on and follow them, and then you want to share like 3 or 4 of their items from their closet. And most of the time, people who definitely, if they're sellers and they know what they're doing, they will share your items back. And that's the key. You need other people to share your items, and you need to share your items as frequently as you can. We typically, as a rule, will share our whole closet at least twice a day. And then obviously when the parties roll around, we'll just share to the party for the items that qualify for that party. And we typically will average about 15 to 16 sales a week. On some weeks we have more sales, some weeks we don't have any sales, or I don't think we've gone a whole week without selling anything, but we've definitely gone 2 or 3 days without selling something. And it can be frustrating, especially early on when you're not a Posh ambassador. And you can, when you go to your account settings, you can click on Posh stats and find out what else you need to do to be a Posh ambassador. And that really, once you're a Posh ambassador, they will actually, your listings tend to pop up higher when people search. So if somebody searches for like Nike shoes and you have a pair, they'll come up higher than if you weren't a Posh ambassador. The only negative drawback, which isn't really a negative, is you do have to purchase an item and write a review on it in order to qualify as a Posh ambassador, but it's only one item. You do have to have, I think it's 15 items and listings in your closet. You have to have an average ship time of under 2 days. You have to have certain amount of feedback from other people. You have to have followed a certain number of people. You have to have a certain number of followers. And then you'll get an email that says, welcome to the ambassador program. And then I haven't really seen any other tangible benefit for it, other than from what I've been told is you tend to show up higher on the list. So definitely a program that you want to strive for. And, we became Posh ambassadors probably 45, 50 days into selling. So doesn't take long to get there. But you really just have to kind of stay committed to it in the early goings, because it will be slow, and then all of a sudden you'll get to a day where it's like, oh man, I had 3 sales today, and then the next day you have 3 sales, and you kind of get the picture. The other thing is following. You want to follow other people just like you want other people to follow you. So you don't have to interact with these people; you just follow them. And typically, when you share things. Like when you share your whole closet, you'll share it to all your followers. And so then when they open their app, other people that they're following that they've shared that have shared things will pop up, and then they just reshare those things. And so that's one thing you definitely want to do too, is just when you go to the main feed and just start sharing some items. Again, if you follow suggested users and share like 3-4 of their items, typically people that are sellers will share 3 or 4 of your items and follow you back, and vice versa. If you go into your closet where it says number of followers, click on that, and you can see it'll tell you who you're also following. You want to make sure and follow all of your followers. If they're following you, you need to be following them, and it will definitely help you in the long run. The last thing I want to go over is how to bundle things properly, because they came out with a new way to lower prices probably about 6 months ago, where if someone liked an item, you could click on it and then send an offer to likers. The downside to sending an offer to likers is that you are required to drop the price by at least 10%, which isn't a huge deal. And you're required to include a shipping discount, which can either be $1.50 or $6.50. So, if you think about it, if you're profiting after the Poshmark fee $10 and you're offering free shipping, you're down to making $4 or almost $3.50. And then if you paid $2 for the item, you made $1.50. So kind of small potatoes, but if you bundle correctly, you can avoid having to pay a shipping discount. Now, if someone pays for an item that's over $50 in my closet, I typically give them free shipping, just because I'm still going to make like $33. And if I typically spend, $2 to $7 an item, I'm still making $20+ an item. So I don't have a problem when it's a higher value item, but when it's a low value item, you really don't want to get into the habit of giving huge shipping discounts all the time. So the way you do that is when someone likes an item, go to their page, to their closet, and then right next to the follow button, there's like a little tiny picture of them with a briefcase underneath of it. Click on that, and then it'll show you your items that you've bundled from them. Now, if you haven't liked anything from them, they'll say there's nothing to list here. And then on the right-hand side, there's a little drop down, and you can click on where it says ship or change to sell view, and then it'll look exactly the same, but in the bottom, it'll show you their likes. Just share the item directly to them, and then you can go in and make an offer, which has an optional shipping discount. So it basically does the exact same thing, except you're not required to give a shipping discount. Now, I know me as a buyer, if I'm buying something and there's a shipping discount, I might be more inclined to buy. You just kind of have to judge for yourself what you are willing to give as a discount and what you're not, and which items you're willing to give discounts on and which ones you're not. So that's kind of what you want to keep in mind when people like your items. And anytime you lower a price on an item, any liker that gets it is going to automatically receive a notification that the price has been dropped. And sometimes Poshmark, they call it closet clear out, but sometimes Poshmark, if you do lower the price, Poshmark will actually cover part of the shipping as an incentive for them to buy. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the basics that I've learned in Poshmark in a year. Again, the numbers, we've sold 856 items. We've made $11,646. I would say probably we're at about 65-70%, maybe closer to 70-75% profit. So we've made probably $9,000, $8,500 and $9,000 this year on just doing Poshmark part time. Again, there are people that will tell you, "Oh, I made $45,000 last year." Unless they're working 12-hour days doing this, it's probably really difficult to hit that mark. But for working maybe an hour and a half a day in the evenings and on the weekends with my wife, an extra $8,000 in our pockets has really helped out. I know a lot of people, the economy's rough right now, so a lot of people are doing things like this, and we were able to pay off some debt. We paid off a car. And again, we're doing Dave Ramsey, so it really helped out with having extra additional funds. My parents took my 3-year-old daughter, my wife and I to Disneyland for our birthdays. And it was really nice to be able to take, we took like $400 or $500 out of our Poshmark fund and I was able to just let my daughter buy whatever she wanted. Now she's 3, so she's not as expensive as a teenager would be, but it was a really nice feeling to be able to do that for my daughter, which is something that we can't normally do. So it definitely helped us be able to do that, and also just the ability. It's something fun that my wife and I do. Every time we make a sale in our house, we'll actually go onto YouTube and play the song "Save That Money" by Lil Dicky, and it's just kind of a fun, silly thing that we do in the house. And she'll start dancing around, which is a sight in itself. But it's definitely something that if you're interested in making a little bit of extra side cash, without having to buy tons and tons of expensive inventory and do pyramid marketing and all that other stuff. I have lots of people that do Scentsy or LuLaRoe or anything like that. Doesn't require a huge financial investment. You buy what you want. If you don't have enough money to buy inventory that month, you just don't have to buy it. You can kind of buy what you feel comfortable with, and as time goes on, you can upgrade. So like I was saying, we, after 6 months, decided to buy a label printer, and after 4 or 5 months, we decided to buy a lighting kit and things like that. So you really can go at your own pace. I would say if you probably had $500 laying around to invest in your company, that'd probably be a good thing. I'll put links to everything that we've bought, and you can pretty much get going and be good to go. If you have any questions, or you want us to look at your closet and kind of give you our opinion of things that you can improve on, just comment with your closet name in the description in the comments below. I will also include, if you're thinking about joining Poshmark, our invitation code. If you join Poshmark, it'll ask you, do you have an invitation code? Just type ours in, and I believe you would get $5 off your first purchase. And then after you make a purchase, we also get a $5 credit just for you guys being using our code. So kind of a win-win for both people. And again, if you have any questions or want me to do another video about a specific topic, just put it in the comments below, and good luck.